from it. Destiny arrives all the same.
We are through 7 events for the individuals here on day number 3 of the 2019 Reebok CrossFit Games from the Alliant Energy Center in Madison, Wisconsin. We are inside the Rogue tent as we now move into the evening session here at the CrossFit Games. I'm Sean Woodland with Chase Ingraham. That last event, Mat Fraser goes out and grabs his 3rd event win of the competition, but I know you were impressed with the way that Noah Ohlsen handled himself.
Noah Ohlsen impressed me in a big way, and you don't have to impress me with performances and finishing places based off that, but how Noah Ohlsen responded to being in first place, knowing he's going to have a hard charge Mat Fraser nipping at his heels, and Mat Fraser just said he wanted to come for everybody this weekend, but to lose the lead in the beginning and maintain instead of panic, to fall off a pegboard on the final event, having Bjorgvin Carl Gudmundsson coming to chase you, to not panic, stay in your lane, and bring yourself back into second place. Noah Ohlsen impressed me in a big way after that event.
Let's take a look at the overall standings as things have changed, as they are probably going to do now throughout the rest of the competition. So Noah Ohlsen still has the overall lead, 589 points, but Mat Fraser has sliced 10 points off of that lead and now trails Ohlsen by 55. Bjorgvin Carl Gudmundsson has moved into 3rd. Scott Panchik and Jacob Hepner rounding out the top 5. You just mentioned Mat Fraser. He sends a message there and says, I am coming for the wins. Now, that could be good for him, but there is a risk involved with that as well.
Oh, he said, how often we liken to Mat Fraser to Thanos, and he's coming to take over the world. Is now he switched roles. This is a little bit of a Joker moment for him. Matt wants to sit back and watch the world burn, is the way he described it. And a intense Mat Fraser is a scary one, but I would also say be cautious, because a lot of times your biggest strengths can end up turning around and being your biggest weakness. Make sure that you don't just chase domination and that you stay within the event that you're in versus the competition that you're competing against. So seeing Mat Fraser charge up is exciting. He's going to need to do well and have that mentality, but he can't be blinded by that moving into the rest of the weekend.
We talked about Noah Ohlsen in that event. Let's talk about Noah Ohlsen now moving forward. What does his mindset need to be in order to try and hold off Mat Fraser?
Just keep doing what you're doing. A lot of times we say, and especially in events, it's only 10 people, but there are events you're going to be good at, and there's events that other people will be better at you at. When you come to those positions, make sure you're not chasing down someone you're not going to beat to begin with. You got to beat everybody else in your field. You have a good lead on Mat Fraser. If you can continue to stay on his heels and maybe get ahead of him on the one event that favors you, you will survive the weekend. But just make sure is that you stay focused on what the task is and not panic when things don't go right.
Let's go over to the women's side of the competition. They went first in event number 7. We have their updated standings. Tia-Clair Toomey is still your overall leader, 621 points. She's ahead of Kristen Holton now by 45 points. Jamie Greene has now moved into a podium spot. She sits in 3rd, but Carrie Pierce is just 7 points back of her. Jamie Greene now looking like she could be a factor as we move through the remaining events here.
Well, let's take a peek at not just the leaderboard, but how she got to that 3rd place position. She has 2 finishes outside the top 20, but the next 5 she has 5 top 5 finishes, finishing off of that 4th place one in the previous event. So she can keep that tempo, right? She's made hold 3rd, but bolster herself up in that 2nd and 1st place position, because the way this scoring system is with 10 athletes, if you can get 2nds and 3rds and 4th consistently, that puts a lot of pressure on the top athletes to maintain their position, because if you get a 7th and an 8th, it's gone in just 2 events.
Event number 8 is going to be something we have seen in a format that we have never seen before. It is going to be a 1 rep max clean. There is a tie break with 5 reps per time on the deadlift. It is in the ladder format, but the athletes will take the floor one at a time. The women will start at 215 pounds. If they make that lift, they will then move on to the next weight. The men will start at 315. When they fail, they will then move to a 295-pound barbell, and they will complete 5 deadlifts as fast as they can. That will be the tie break in this event. The Rogue Iron game has been focusing on CrossFit here for the past couple of days, but we are also going to be focusing on powerlifting, weightlifting, and Olympic weightlifting and strongman as well. And right now we are welcoming Morghan King, a 2016 U.S. Olympian, and Wes Kitts, who is the 2019 Pan Am champion in weightlifting. Thanks so much for being here, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Let's start with you, Morghan. You were at the Olympics in 2016. What was it like for you to be able to compete on that stage for your country?
Oh my gosh. I mean, to represent your country is huge, and I mean, just being out, it was crazy because, you know, being in CrossFit, it's always loud,
right.
And the Olympics is dead silent in weightlifting. So it's a little bit different. I did compete a little bit in CrossFit when I first started weightlifting. And so that was the really hard kind of crossover. But I mean, you're at the Olympics. It's the most amazing feeling ever. So.
And Wes, you just won the 2019 Pan American Games. What was it like now for you to compete in that competition, and not only compete but win?
Yeah, man, the Pan Am Games was an awesome experience. It's a meet they do once every 4 years, and they take it real serious. They've got it set up nice. It's beautiful, and everyone's bringing their A game. So I mean, just to be able to go to that, represent the country, and win. I mean, that's the best feeling in the world.
Coming off a win like that, we've noticed a surge in USA weightlifting over the last couple of years. What's it like being on the forefront of that for your country?
Well, I think we have CrossFit to thank a lot for the growth in weightlifting. I mean, that's giving us so much exposure, and it's bringing the sport to so many people. So thank you guys for doing that. But I mean, being able to come here, and then there's people that appreciate what we do. I mean, it just feels so good to just be amongst friends when we come to places like this. So.
Yeah, and Morghan, you mentioned that you competed in CrossFit a little bit.
Yeah.
How did CrossFit lead you to the sport of weightlifting?
You know, I had done team regionals,
okay.
and then that was, I think, what was it? I think that was the year of 2012. And that's when the Olympics were going, and so there was a weightlifting competition. I learned to jerk 2 days before, and you know, one of the weightlifting coaches that had put on the meet, he came up to me and he had a 2008 Olympian, a female Olympian, and he was like, I haven't seen anyone lift like this since Melanie. He's like, you need to keep lifting. And so that kind of was shocking to me. And being little, it was just really hard for me. And so for me to have weight classes, that was super awesome. And I just like lifting heavy stuff. So
who doesn't?
Right. It's pretty addicting.
That's a good point, Chase.
What's it like, and this is a question for both of you guys, but we've seen the popularity of the sport grow. You've seen the success come along with that. What's it like having a company like Rogue behind you guys and your sport moving into the future?
Ladies first.
Sure, yeah. Well, I mean, now that we have Rogue sponsoring our American Open, Internationals, it's really awesome to we have the Pyros bar, which is really cool, because Pyros is now, one of our coaches, and so that bar is awesome to lift on. And so just to see the kind of technology of the bars, I think we were talking about that yesterday, of just the grip and all of that. It's been pretty awesome to have such quality weights behind us, and I mean, obviously he needs a lot of them, so it's good that they make a lot of weights. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be able to show up at these meets and to see a fully loaded out Rogue room with all the weights, all the bars, racks that you could ever want or need, and they're glistening. It's just it's awesome to be able to walk into a space and it's decked out like that. I mean, it makes you feel professional. You feel good about it, and you don't have anything to worry about. You can just hit your session and get it in, and it's just nice.
Morghan, I know you recently had a post about PRing your push press and the long process you had to go through to do that.
Yeah.
What was it like to finally achieve that goal?
Oh yeah, well, and especially in push press, because it's that's kind of a hit or miss thing, and so you know, it's very different when you peak at the Olympics, right? You know, and like everything's going great and wonderful, and then it's like, oh gosh, we're gonna vamp up and like do this again, like another 4 years, and like those kilos come, you know, a lot few and far between, and so. I actually yesterday at the 110 challenge just PR'd my back squat.
Well, there you go.
By 1 kilo.
Okay, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, pounds. I had no idea.
Every now and then they're useful, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So that was pretty cool. That's an all-time PR. So, I mean, to do that in front of a bunch of people was pretty fun. But yeah, I mean, it's just that grind every day that is just, you know, when you get those PRs, it just kind of makes it a little bit more worth it, right? So. Before
we let you guys go, can you let the fans know what is up next for you now as far as a competitive season?
Yeah, we're headed to World Championships. I think our flights are in like 6 weeks, and we'll do about a 2-week training camp out in Japan and in Thailand. So we're going to be representing the U.S. again, and it's coming up. So we'll be training hard.
Yeah. It'll be crazy. This next year is just nuts for weightlifting.
Right.
Like it's just that gear up towards the Olympics, and it's going to be really highly competitive. So it'll be fun.
Well, listen, best of luck. Thank you so much for stopping by. Congratulations on all the accolades, and we look forward to watching you compete and covering you here on the Rogue Iron Game. Wes Kitts and Morgan King, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and cover Event 8 for the individuals. It's going to be under the lights, it's going to be heavy, and it's going to be nuts. So stick with us here on the Rogue Iron Game.